I'm getting ready for bed, but I also just finished a book and I wanted to make a very quick review of it. So the book is called The City of Nightbirds by Zuhei Kim. It is it is a fiction. And one thing I've noticed about fiction is that for the first 40% of the book, it takes me ages to read. So that took me like 2 weeks. And then the middle portion, maybe a good 10%, takes me another, maybe it takes me a week as well. So 40% takes me a week, 10% takes me a week, and the last 30%, I'll be done in a day or two, which is exactly what happened to this book. So I chose this book because I want to read a lot more about stories relating to ballet. So I've been reading some stories around the classical ballet, things like things like the classical ballet stories, and it'd be nice to read them. So it gives me sometimes a lot more context because in ballet it's all about acting. Right? Acting is dancing, but it doesn't. You might not always know the details, the intricacy of the storyline. And when I watch ballet, I'm all about absorbing the art, less about absorbing the storyline. And I think that mix it's nice. It's a nice balance. At the same time, I wanted to just read a lot more about ballet. I'm less interested in reading textbooks because there are a lot of textbooks on ballet. How you do your tendu, how you do your point, how do you do your grand battement. But I don't want to do that. That's why I have my coach and my teacher. So I don't want to read a textbook on ballet. So what's next? Next thing is to read fiction books on ballet. So this is a fiction book about, it tells the story of this Russian-Ukrainian ballerina and her journey through ballet school, through her life doing ballet, and her personal life as well. So number one, spoilers, but it's beautiful to just listen to her story as she recounts, when she was young all the way to her modern age at, I don't know, 30 something or 40 something, and that's where the story ends. And it jumps between timelines, so it gets a bit confusing, but you kind of get the hang of it after. And it introduces a lot of different people. So she was dancing ballet, and then she went to she was dancing Vaganova, then she went to Balshin, I'm butchering the terms, and then she went to dance for Paris, the Paris Ballet, and it shares her journey throughout, and well, like, I mean, I don't want to. Okay, I'll comment a little, but it's not going to be the full picture. But it seems like she has this very strong facade that she likes to put up, like walls she likes to put up, and maybe it's a Russian thing that they want to share. But she's this very strong facade she likes to put up. And then, like, poor girl, she's a victim in a lot of different things. But turns out she's also a very, very brilliant ballerina. She became the prima ballerina, and then Bolshoi, yes, Bolshoi. So she wanted to become the prima ballerina in Bolshoi, but she got recruited to the Paris Ballet and Opera. So she moved to France, and then she spent her life there and stuff like that. But there are two things that captured me in this book, and I would rate it a 3-star, where it's very nice to read. It's unlikely that I want to read it again because I want to read a lot of other ballet books. But it's a nice read. It's a very fun read. The two things that captured me. The first one is everything about ballet. So going to understanding these ballet terms and like the lifestyle, how they train, how they stretch, the things they think about in a context of a book feels quite understood. And I mean, I'm nowhere near that. These people are training. These are like top tier best prima ballerina, right? Which is like the leading ballerina star, the principal ballerina, and they are like crazy good and it's stretching all the time. You know, you've got to sew your shoes. You have to sew 3 pairs of shoes every week so you can perform and you can train in your point shoes and all that kind of stuff. I'm nowhere near that. At the same time, it's beautiful to just listen to these terms and this lifestyle of ballet in a different context, in a context of a ballerina telling a story. I find that to be I feel quite understood. And I think that's why, well, it's going to be a stretch, but I think that's kind of why all these representation things exist. Because I don't know who will want to read this book, honestly, except if you enjoy ballet very much, because I don't think it's a book catered to the mass public. I don't think anyone cares about it if you're not interested in ballet at all. But because I'm interested in ballet, I like ballet, I dance ballet, it is beautiful to read a book about ballet. And then it shares all these, it's not just the glitz and glamour, it's all the hardship, the fracture, but also all the determination, the grit you have to go through to make something so complicated feel so easy, feel so graceful, and the mental strength to jump higher, to stabilize better, to turn out better, and the amount of hardship that ballerinas put on themselves to be the best constantly, to go through improvements. And it's a weird relationship between improvement and also age in ballet, because as you grow older you're improving, but also as you grow older your bones, it's just less, you know. And the main character in the show, her name is Natalia. I really enjoy Natalia's at least in the book, right, her expression, or her way of viewing ballet as a form of art. And you want to be consumed by this art, this fanatic intensity, to be consumed by a form of art that the only way to express it is to be the art. Oh, I think that's the highest degree of love. I think art is the highest degree of love, when you love so much that it is art and you become art. It's beautiful. I love it. So that's one aspect of the book that I think it's very well written. I think it has captured thoughts of ballet and just general lifestyle of a ballerina quite beautifully. I don't know enough about being a ballerina. I watch YouTube videos of people teaching ballet and like teachers screaming at their students, and also just different podcasts of ballet related content. And it's very nice, and reading a book helps to, you know, piece the pieces together, because I'm not a ballerina and I won't be a ballerina, a professional one, ever. And I understand that. The other aspect of the book which really captured me was the writing of how it captures the scene very well in a book form. So it talks about the scenes in Russia, in St. Petersburg, in Paris, and there was, so Natalia was together with this guy called Sasha. They are the main two characters in ballet, and then they moved to Paris together. In this little Paris apartment that they had, you know, she was describing the scene so well. I felt like I was transported back to Paris. And then there's a chapter as they move to Paris. They would go down, fall in love with croissant, eat croissant every day, and have it with coffee. And this comes from a cafe just around the corner, and they buy it in the morning. And it was a very simple life, but both of them were happy. Simple and happy, doing ballet, getting paid to do ballet, and really embrace art in its physical form. It's beautiful. And it really reminded me, or it took me back to this time where with one of my exes, we just moved in to this place and it had a balcony. So on the weekend, we will make avocado toast with egg and a cup of tea each, sit by the balcony with this nice woven chair each, and the little table that we're sharing, sit by the balcony, overlook the pool, and just have a quiet afternoon, a quiet late morning, having breakfast and tea, and then we'll read a bit by the balcony. It's these little things that we do take for granted, where it's just simple, quiet moments. And it's the good old days that you remember when you grow old. And I talked about this in one of the principles, where you never know the good old days until they have passed. So this is a good reminder to learn to be present and appreciate the present when it exists, when you were experiencing it. So for example, today the sunset was absolutely stunning. It was great that I didn't have to do my call at sunset time, and it was moved. So I took time out, and some cold thing was running anyway. So I took time out, went to my balcony, and just look at the sunset. And that's it. I have a very good view where I could see east-west, and I'm facing the north. It rained at night, so the sky is absolutely clear blue skies. And this hue of blue to orange just shining down on the landscape. I've got buildings around. I've got the city on one side with tall skyscrapers, and I've got this huge patch of greenery and little tiny houses. As you see, the light slowly falls into the city and goes from bright to ombre-ish all the way down to orange and red and pink. I'm just so grateful at this moment. And it's like this croissant and coffee that Natalia and Sasha have in the morning in Paris. It's the little things that it's not a big mark on your calendar. It's not a big moment. It's just being and experiencing. And it's a good reminder that there's so many beautiful things in life. It's not just the big wow moments. The little tiny things that makes life, honestly, what beauty of life is. And I love that so much. The book goes into a lot of different scenes where they describe so much details, and it's fascinating, it's beautiful, absolutely stunning. It takes a while to get used to how the author describes, because all this timeline jumping gets a bit confusing. And then some storylines don't seem to be very necessary, but still great way of describing the scene. Towards the end, and it talks about Natasha and Sasha's relationship. Complex relationship, I'd say. And towards the end, they became friends instead. So they still love each other, and I think they will always love each other, but not in a romantic way as they age and they become friends, stay in touch, and they do connect, have a meal, and they share their life, share their stories, share about their current partners. And I think that's very reminiscent of a mature relationship as you grow older and you kind of drift apart. Yes, you'll still always love them. However, the love is no longer a romantic love, but a love of the person, of the individual. You finally see the person for who they are instead of the idealized version of them. And if it works out romantically, that's great. But if it doesn't work out romantically, it's not the end of the world. It's just a different form of love now. I think it's probably a bit more unconditional than just pure romantic lust. And I can't help but think of my ex again, the one that we had brunch in the balcony. Note to myself, because I'm definitely gonna watch this video again, and this is just a note from me to me before I continue this. This is not a sign that I'm missing him. This is not a sign that I want to reach out to him again. This is just a reminiscence period where I'm very grateful for the moments of the past. I'm very grateful that we had these moments together. And I wish nothing but the absolute best for him. I hope he gets all the happiness, all the contentment, and all the joy he's looking for in life, because that's what he deserves. He truly deserves it. It makes me recall a lot of the things that we've done together and the moments that we've spent together, and it's beautiful. It's lovely. More of a nostalgic moment than anything. Yeah, and towards the end, it made me teary a little. I did not cry as compared to the other book by Mitch Albom called Twice. However, definitely felt a lot more very teary, and a good kind. The nostalgic kind where you look back and you go, oh, that was beautiful. Life is beautiful, and it's beautiful now in a very different way. It was beautiful then. It still is beautiful in my memory, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for all the things that have happened. And I'm very grateful for this book to bring out, just hook out different memories of different aspects of my life. And there are other actors that I also, and I love them very, very much still. Not in a romantic sense, in a respectful, I'll be there for you. Call me and I'll take the next flight. I'll go to wherever you need me to because I care about you. It's like a family, you know? These are people that I choose as family, beyond blood. And I care for you. I will be there for you. Just call me and I will be there. And it's beautiful to experience care like this and to give out care like this. I don't think many people can say that they have this kind of experiences. So I'm very, very, very grateful to have that. Yeah. So yes, I highly recommend this book because I would recommend reading this book once, just as a way of artistic view of life as a ballerina, and also just the scenes this lady, the author, paints as you go into these different scenes. Some parts are quite frustrating, I think. I don't know. It's not my. Maybe it's, I don't know. It's some parts, I guess, a bit too Russian, I guess. But other than that, very interesting book. And I didn't find a lot of discussions online about it, so decided to make a video before I go to sleep. Alright, and now it's time for me to go to bed. So, good night. Bye.